The shot clock starts now. 1 week until build.
Hey, I have a Skype pro tip.
What?
Use something else. No. No, Alex Gumpel emailed me because I had complained about the aspect ratio. And he said that if you right-click the video, there is an option. Well, actually, what is it? I just did it. Called See Full Video Feed, which puts it into the correct aspect ratio of the feed, not of the window.
Hot tip of the day.
Mm-hmm. Or as he called it, or as I should call it, RTFM. Or just keep right-clicking till something good happens.
Yeah, that's one way to approach life.
Do you want to hear a really good story? It's a little long.
Well, let me do something first before.
Okay, because I should have asked you about this ahead of time, but I think it might be interesting to me.
Well, we got some time to fill, but our friends over at Smart Deploy are introducing hybrid VDI using box and Dropbox deployment. If that sounds like that's up your alley, you can find them at Smart Deploy. I'm actually going to be up there in Seattle next week talking with these folks. So.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to them too.
I think you have Windows Weekly, but I mean, if you want to ditch that,
you know what? Fine. That's what I was always going to say. That starts with F. Oh boy.
Yeah.
How you doing?
You know, it's been a weekend. We've got. Yeah. When do you leave Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like super early. I'm going to be out all day Thursday. Planes, trains, and automobiles, and possibly sea boats or sea planes, or I don't know what the hell's going on. It's going to be a lengthy Nordic type trip.
Well, we are looking forward to that. Maybe not really, but anyways, what's your story? Wishbone over there.
This isn't tech related, but for anyone like we all have workplaces and chances for us to kind of mentor for other people and whatever. And, as a homeowner, even you could sort of appreciate like how important it is to find people who know what they're talking about when you have plumbing or electric work, whatever. So I've been going to the gym, right, since sometime in March. And, this is kind of a long story. I apologize because unfortunately there's a bit of setup so you can understand what I mean. But, I started doing weight machines. So it was upper and lower body. And I started doing like 5 machines at a time, alternating days, and then now basically I go every day. It's about 30 minutes. It's probably 9 machines-ish each time. And, it's kind of come together a little bit. So, but it's a gym. Oh, I should say too, I've always had pretty like good lower body strength. So I used to be able to dunk a basketball like in the 9th grade. And so not surprisingly, the weight stuff on the lower body is more impressive than say the upper body, which is pathetic. And, you're familiar with the notion of you sit in this machine and you push on a giant board with your legs, right? And you're lifting weights over here, right? So there's a machine that's like that. I'm clearly not an expert at this. And, I've been doing, this is one of the machines I've been doing since day one. So for 5 or 6 weeks, I've been using this machine every other day, basically. So in the gym, there's this gigantic guy, like an Adonis looking Greek god, kind of, and I see him and I've said hi to him and we've kind of, we notice each other, whatever. And he comes over to me, it was on Thursday, I guess. And he goes, and I'm on that machine, or I think I'm on that machine. And he says, can I ask you a question? I'm like, sure. And he goes, how come you're using the machine that way?
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, oh God, here we go. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he says, well, so the long story short is this machine is actually a horizontal calf raise. Meaning you've probably done the thing with your feet where you kind of lift up on your the back of your foot comes off the ground and you're lifting weight. That's like a vertical calf raise, which I'm also doing. This thing was not a leg press. It was just a horizontal calf raise, I guess we'll call it. I don't know the exact name of it. And it's one of those things where when he explains it to you, and I look at the machine and it kind of shows you in a diagram how you're supposed to use it, I realize how stupid I've been. The worst thing about it is I'm kind of tall, so all of the machines I have to push the seat back or push the seat down, usually to one of the lowest settings or highest settings or whatever. This particular one, I was moving forward because I wasn't getting the range of motion I was expecting because it's not a leg press. Anyway, I said thank you, and I was embarrassed. And I saw him again this morning, and I've been thinking about this all week, and I'm like, I really want to make sure this guy understands how much I appreciate this because it was probably a little awkward for him to even say something to me. And it was embarrassing for me, but it was appreciated, And it was a really funny exchange. But the point of this story, aside from pointing out how freaking stupid I am, is just how important it is to do those things for people. Like,
Oh, sure.
we are, some of us, anyone listening to this, probably sort of an expert in some field, whatever it may be, technology related, perhaps. We have it's almost a requirement, but like we can help people, and I think it's important when you do that. I just wanted to point out, like, in this area in which I am clearly an imbecile, somebody took the time to come over to me and help me. And I mean, it was, like I said, it was embarrassing, but it was nice. We should all, I think we should all do that for people when possible.
Yeah. But the key is to do it in the right way. You can't just go up and you don't want to belittle people when you're trying to help them.
No, and like I said, he's I'm never going to be big like this guy's humongous.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to I don't want to look like that necessarily, but I mean, for him to to do that, I thought it was neat, and it was really funny because he said something like, he goes, "Yeah, I wasn't sure if I should come over," and I'm like, "No, you should absolutely do that. I really appreciate it." And he goes, "Yeah, it was pretty freaking great, wasn't it?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was pretty freaking great. It was nice, So,
well, good.
Yeah.
Congratulations on
going to the gym.
Being
It's nice. Sometimes I'll get on a machine after a woman, and I'll have to lower the weight. Like, it's not completely emasculating, but it is. It's not my world, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
That's why I stick to pull-ups and push-ups and sit-ups and running.
Yeah, I think I should go back to my previous strategy, which was not let anyone see when I'm doing stuff like this. But yeah.
On to other things. Spotify hit 100 million paid subscribers. That's pretty notable. That's a decent number.
They have good guidance for the year ahead, like the coming quarter, the next year, et cetera, et cetera. If you look at their, they don't make money, which is the problem, but they're clearly trying to grow the paid subscriber part of it because that's where they will make money.
Mm-hmm.
And even today, it's some huge percentage of their revenues is derived from that. Like the ad-supported revenues is very small, and then the paid subscriber revenue is very high. And if you think about a lot of the promotions they've done, they did the free, I don't know if it's 3 or 6 months with Samsung when you buy a new phone. They did the free Google Home Mini. They did the Hulu thing, which I think you're taking advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all for their premium subscribers. Those are the people who pay them. Those things are actually kind of expensive, right? Because, think about it. I mean, even at a great discount, a Google Home Mini is probably $20 a pop. And they're doing that to grow that business. They want to make sure that's obviously that's the company really. I mean, they have this other thing, but so we'll see if they can ever actually turn a profit. But they're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, and they're not too far off. Looking at your post, they lost $47 million, which is, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of money, but they on revenues of $1.68 billion. So it's not
exactly.
It's not. They're not far from breaking even. They've got whatever their strategy is clearly starting to pan out, and we'll see when they can actually cross that.
There's
threshold.
no doubt that like Apple Music loses all kinds of money, but they can subsidize it in their other businesses, and then they can carp about Spotify's business model on the side when they're like, see, this is why we love artists. And it's like, look, they're obviously
right. It's not their business.
It behooves Spotify to pay as little as they can for music. It behooves artists to want to get as much money as they can as possible for music. But the business is what it is, and I don't see Spotify as a bad partner for musicians in any way. But you want to make. I mean, I love music. I don't actually. I think you use Spotify. I don't, but. Or I guess I know you use Spotify. But I want the service to succeed. It's important that there be a healthy music industry.
Yep. Yeah, because I really don't want to go to Apple Music.
Yeah. And then Phil Schiller can write a letter one day explaining why everything's just fine. We didn't do anything wrong.
It's a nice little transition there because they came out, and what happened here was the New York Times wrote up a pretty lengthy post about applications that were designed to help you reduce, well, actually, more realistically, just control what your kids are doing on your devices. These things exist on Windows, they exist on everything. And so these apps existed, and then iOS 12 came out and it had these things called Screen Time, and it could kind of do similar things. And then suddenly these apps were just starting to disappear, and a couple founders of those apps who were apparently somewhat successful just woke up one day and their apps were gone from the store around February. And they filed some complaints with the EU. Apple came out and said, hey, the reason we pulled those apps is that they're actually using MDM, or mobile device management features, which aren't designed for consumers. This is a privacy issue, and they're now gone. But that didn't stop them from approving the apps initially when they already knew what they were doing. So
also left out of his letter is that that's not true of all of the apps that they killed.
Fantastic.
Yeah, only some of them were using MDM capabilities. And by the way, not using them for malicious intent.
Right.
Using them so parents could limit the amount of time their kids spend on phones.
Mm-hmm.
That's, it's a mobile device management technology. Yep. That's what it's for, right? Because, it's essentially policies that you hand down to the user of the device that determines what apps they can use. In this case, when they can use the apps, whatever. So Apple, some company.
Yeah, so this is going to be an interesting one to watch, because you can take Apple's side of the story and just believe it and be like, oh yeah, they're doing this because it's privacy and that's what Apple does. Or you can look at it from the apps that were killed and be like, well, that's kind of crappy. Apple approved all that stuff. You built a business on it and then they just killed you overnight, which shows that Apple has too much power. I mean,
I do see both sides of it. I will say Apple has a rich history of doing this to companies.
Yep.
Apple absolutely does abuse their power. Spotify, coincidentally, is one of the companies that has complained to the EU about this very topic.
Mm-hmm.
So in some ways, these two stories are, in fact, more related than maybe it seems at first blush. But I don't know. It's like when you see an animal and you put like human emotions on the animal, and I don't know what that word is, but it's like you see, it's like, oh, that bird looks happy because it looks like it's smiling or something. It's like birds they don't have the same emotions we do. We do this to companies too. You could say like Apple is predatory, it's like, well, but businesses are designed to maximize profits, right? The only reason this becomes a problem is because of something that we've invented called antitrust and monopoly, and that, Apple, because they're in a position of power, can abuse that power. And that is too a very human thing. I mean, we would feel that same way about a person in a position of power who's abusing their power. But, companies by nature are predatory. I mean, that's the central point of business is to win. The one you don't want to win the most money, you want to win all the money. And that's okay. It's all good until you have some kind of a monopoly, which is almost in some cases arbitrarily defined. So I don't know. I mean,
we'll see. It's EU, I suspect, is going to look at this.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, even the notion of MDM. MDM was not designed to manage mobile devices. Wait a minute. What? That's what it is designed for. Oh no, it was designed for enterprises. Yeah. Okay, but that's kind of arbitrary. That's like saying Microsoft Word was designed for enterprises too, but now everybody uses it. That's the way technology goes. I don't know that, I guess if the supposed concern is that Apple believes that these companies are violating the privacy of people's children because they're essentially remotely managing the devices on behalf of the parents, wouldn't that be true of Intune as well? If you were, or whatever. I mean, Microsoft Family settings in Windows. Are we violating the privacy of children? I mean, it seems like parents have agreed. They've sought this thing out. They want to use it. They want to make sure their kids are not doing something bad. Mm-hmm. In what way is this a violation of anyone's privacy?
Right. And then the other thing is, how long were they around? And then they just decided to kill them. It's a little.
Yes. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one.
Yeah, we'll see. I do want to correct one thing you said, Paul.
Okay.
Birds and emotions. I can't speak for all bird species. I can confirm that geese are filled with hatred. And
yes.
They are the devil.
They are the dicks of the bird world.
Yes.
I agree with that. By the way, blue jays, also assholes.
I don't have as much beef with blue jays, but definitely geese. They are.
Well, geese are overt about you. I should say geese are dicks to everybody. Mm-hmm. Blue jays are dicks to other birds. They're beautiful animals. So if you see them out, they're beautiful to look at. And then you realize that they're beating up on sparrows and stuff. They're actually really territorial, and they aggressively go after other animals if there's food nearby or whatever. They're like a company. They're terrible, but it's self-preservation.
Yeah. So if you see a goose, just hit it.
Run it over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember, there's no loss there.
Right. And they're good eating, so.
Yeah. You got anything else for today, Mr. Thrat?
No. Boy. Hopefully no more lessons at the gym this week.
No more avian thoughts.
You never know what you're going to get on a Monday morning, Brad.
You never do. You never really do. And so as we run up to build, things will get marginally more interesting than I would imagine. Probably, well, I don't know if they're going to get fully quiet or not. But next week should be interesting from, well, Microsoft perspective and a Google I/O perspective. And, yeah.
That's true.
All right, folks. So that wraps it up for today. We can shut her down here, and we'll catch you right back here tomorrow.